day 10 of this conflict.
Target destroyed.
And the United Arab Emirates says its air defences have destroyed 113 Iranian drones overnight, as well as 16 Iranian missiles, part of a new wave of aerial attacks on Israel and neighbouring Gulf states, including Bahrain. Israel's strikes on 5 oil depots in Tehran over the weekend, pushing prices of crude oil above $100 a barrel for the first time since 2022. Experts warning that could fuel the fire of inflation to nearly 4%, something President Trump calls a very small price to pay for safety and peace, but a challenging addition to the cost of living crisis in Britain.
The longer this goes on, the more likely the potential for an impact on our economy, impact into the lives and households of everybody and every business. And our job is to get ahead of that, to look around the corner, assess the risk, monitor the risks and work with others in relation to that.
Celebrations in the streets of Iran as the slain supreme leader's successor is named. His reclusive son, Mojtaba Khamenei, President Trump reportedly not happy with the appointment.
Allahu Akbar!
Iran's new leader already has a target on his back.
It seems to me that any leader who comes up and says, I'm going to continue the campaign to destroy this country, then Israel is duty-bound to try to eliminate them. If there's a different leader who comes out and says, listen, I'm going to change the way Iran interacts with its neighbors and the way it looks at the world, the way we see Iran's role in the region and globally, then Israel would have no problem with it.
As Israel bombards Beirut this lunchtime, the financial impact of this war is forecast to hit hard here in the UK, at the pumps and in prices, making conflict in the Middle East feel ever closer to home. Olivia Guthrie, ITV News.
The RAC has warned that the price of unleaded petrol could reach an average of 140 pence per litre in the next week, while it said diesel is likely to climb to at least 160 pence a litre. For more on the conflict's impacts here, we can speak to our political correspondent, Louisa James. We heard from the Prime Minister there, but what can the government do to try to help mitigate the impact of these rising costs?
Well, I get it and we're on it was basically the message from Keir Starmer at that event this morning. But that message of reassurance may be a hard one to land on the same day that we see pictures coming out of Iran of oil facilities on fire after being hit by Israel and the US over the weekend. The same day we've seen oil prices rise to their highest level for 4 years, although they have come down somewhat. And we've seen global stock markets fall in response to that as well. Now, the last time prices got this high was in the early days of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And back then, the cost of filling a typical family car went above £100. And that also fed through to things like prices in supermarkets, to energy bills, to mortgages and so on. Now, Keir Starmer argued this morning that the economy is in a much better state than it was 4 years ago. He talked about some of the other things that the government has done on the cost of living. He listed things like rail fares, prescription charges, free school meals. But he did not really answer the question about whether this time the government is going to take direct and practical action, something like they did, for example, on energy bills 4 years ago. And meanwhile, the RAC have said today that although people should not be panic buying and should refuel as normal, they should consider cutting out some non-essential journeys and changing their driving style to preserve fuel. The Conservatives are also this morning calling for the government to delay the 5p cut in fuel duty to keep it beyond September when it is due to run out. Rachel Reeves is due to meet her G7 counterparts this afternoon for an emergency meeting to discuss perhaps releasing reserves of petroleum. But you heard from the Prime Minister there that the key question is how long this conflict goes on. And economists say if it carries on for many months, the effects could be profound for the global economy.
Louisa James, thank you. In the Middle East, the Israeli and American assault continues, as does the Iranian retaliation. It follows, as Olivia mentioned in her report, the selection of Mojtaba Khamenei as Iran's new supreme leader. Our correspondent John Ray is in Dubai in the UAE. John, what kind of signal does the selection of Ali Khamenei's son send to America, and what could it mean for the next stages of this war?
Well, I think, Nina, that the choice of successor is itself an act of defiance. Some will say an act of provocation, certainly not a move towards conciliation. It will dash the hopes of Iran's reform movement, and it sends a very definite signal that this is a regime which is not at all interested in a quick peace deal. Now, Mojtaba Khamenei is in some ways more hardline than even his father was. Unusually, he is not an acclaimed Islamic scholar. Instead, he has been schooled in the brutal, repressive tactics of the Revolutionary Guard. And he has inherited perhaps the most dangerous job in the world, because the Israelis certainly will want to kill him in the way that 2 weekends ago they killed his father, his mother, and his wife. So it is to an extent also personal, as it is incidentally across the Gulf here, because the Arab rulers are incandescent with anger at Iran for attacking this part of the world. 32 people injured in Bahrain this morning. Their sole oil refinery was attacked. As we know, the Gulf is built on oil and gas. When that does not flow, that is a big problem, not just for people here, but for people around the world.